Hi friends, this is our January sponsored mixed / level 3 yoga video. If you're interested in sponsoring a video, please call, text, or email me. You're also welcome to come in for a private, and then the video will be based on the private that you have here at the studio. So pull up a mat, let's do yoga. You may want to have blocks, a blanket, a belt, and a shawl, maybe some socks. It's a bit chilly this evening. You don't need all of those props, but sometimes they can be helpful and sometimes they can be fun. So come to sit in a comfortable seat for you, and sometimes that seat includes a little blanket under your hips, so you can sit just right at the edge of your blanket, and that way it gives your hips something different to do than maybe they're accustomed to from the rest of our typical day-to-day seat or seats. And let your hands face down, rooting and grounding. Feel your toes spread wide and your feet begin to wake up, maybe arching them a bit as your toes spread. And notice where your shoulders are compared to your hips. Oftentimes we find our shoulders way ahead of the hips. The wise ones say us going into the future. And sometimes we find our shoulders moving behind the hips or the back, kind of rounding, and that's us, the wise ones say, in the past. So give yourself permission to slowly but surely move out of those two places and find your center space and find your slow, steady breathing. Let's bring one hand to the heart center and one hand to the low belly, and fill on your inhale and empty on your exhale. And do that twice more, filling and emptying, and one more, filling and emptying. And your low hand makes its way to the side, and you're making space for breathing and releasing. And two more, making space and releasing. And one more. And now your side hand comes to your heart, and your heart-centered hand comes to your side, receiving that beautiful inhale and releasing. Making more space for the inhale than you think is possible, and letting go a bit more. Continue like that. And now bring your side hand to your low belly, and all of those places you've touched are making space and letting go a bit. Receiving and releasing. Welcoming inhale and welcoming exhale. Bringing hands to heart-centered mudra. Let's open with the sound of 3 Ongs, O-N-G, the Om in action or active form of Om, according to Kundalini teachers. After inhale, join in, listen in, or mentally recite Om. Two more. One more. steady inhale. Slow, steady exhale. Making fists with your hands so your forefingers curl in, your thumbs are up, and your arms come long as if you're creating the shape of letter V. And we're inhaling more than we think we can. Exhaling more than you think is possible. Inhale a bit more. And breath of fire. Exhale all the air out. Inhale, bring your thumbs to meet overhead. Keep breathing. This is an exercise in brightening up. And on your next exhale, open your hands and imagine tracing your very own energy field. Remember, how we project is how we protect, and how we protect is how we project. And since it's the full moon week, let's find some circles pulling in and up through the navel center as you move side to side. Inviting circular motion to remind us to go with the flow. Looking to the moon to remind us to work with our phases, to accept our phases, to know change is the only consistent. Next time you come center, pause a moment, reverse your circles. And next time you come center, stay. Cross your ankles, please. Bring the four corners of your feet down. Notice the tendency to move to outer edges of feet. Bring your arms long, your hands together. Give yourself a mighty push and come up to stand. And we'll move our props off to the side. Once you come up to stand, see about your heels meeting and your toes coming apart. Pulling it up through the inner edges of your legs so you feel quite active. Start to reach your arms forward. Cross at your thumbs and bring your hands overhead. So let me turn to the side so you'll see that we're creating what the Kundalini teachers call a miracle bend. Each inhale is filling you up and opening you up. So if you feel any crunchiness going on in the back, let me move so you can see my hands a bit more, or if you feel anything not so just right in the back, give yourself more of an inhale and open up there. On the next inhale, begin to lengthen. And then exhale, bring your arms forward. As your thumbs come apart, bring your feet in line with each other. So I'll turn to face you again. Your feet are in line with each other. Your hands are in front of you. And now you're bowing forward with a long spine. So I'm not rounding here. And as your fingertips release, they may or may not touch the mat. Your head and neck release. It's a slow, steady inhale. And then you pause the breath a moment. And let's see if I can help you see what happens next. Your navel center is going to pump while you're pausing the breath. But you're doing that without your hand doing that. And then you exhale when it arrives. And you hold the breath again and pump at the navel center. Inhale when it arrives. Pause the breath a moment, pump. Exhale. Pause the breath a moment, pump. Inhale. Pump. Exhale. Pump. Inhale. Exhale. Return to slow, steady breathing. Bring your feet a little wider than your hips. Let yourself hang ragdoll-ish here. Press through your feet like you mean it and start to come up as if you could stack one vertebra on top of the next. From your low, low, low spine, working your way up through the middle, and then making your way up to the cervical spine, your shoulders, your neck, your chin, your head, and breathing. This is a set or a kriya to find balance between the mental and the emotional. So we'll bring our feet wide now. You can even go as wide as the mat if you'd like. And we'll keep the legs long. Your elbows will bend and your hands will be pretty relaxed. And you're going to make large circles, wide circles, with your hips moving from one side, coming through the center, and moving to the other side. So your spine is staying long, your legs are staying long, and you're maybe tracing the full moon with your hips. Or perhaps you're growing in touch with your inner belly dancer. So the navel center is pulling in and up. Your knees are not locked, but your legs are long. Next time you come center, pause a moment and we'll reverse our circles. Coming center, breathe. You can move your feet a bit if they feel too locked into their spot. And on an inhale, we're going to start lifting one arm up and back, and then the other arm up and back. A little back bend, and then you start to move forward. Your spine is staying long. As your arms reach up and back, you come a bit about halfway forward, and then you lift up again and move into that upper back bend. Might feel like you're doing the backstroke. However, we want the hands to stay away from the body. Keep moving and keep breathing. Slow, steady breath here. And next time you come up, you can release the circular motion of the arms and feel what you feel. Inhale, slow and steady. Pause the breath just for a moment and exhale, slow and steady. And then we'll bring the feet to hips width, or you can bring the feet together if you'd like to challenge your balance a bit, up to you. Pick those toes up, spread them wide, four corners of feet press down. Knees pull in and up, arms reach up overhead, and now the middle finger and thumb of one hand clasps the other wrist, and you'll take Crescent Moon. You're gazing out across from you, pressing down through both feet. Inhale brings you center, middle finger, thumb, clasp the other wrist, and you take it to the other side. Inhale, come center, release your hands to your sides, and now either have your fingers point up so your palms can press into your low back. Or if your wrists don't want that much of a bend, make fists and let your front of your fingers press into your low back. So see which feels best for you. And then inhale, lifting the head and heart, and we'll switch the hands. Fingers point down, or inner edges of the fist press the back, depending on what your wrists are asking for. And everything that is situated below your open heart or your back bend is strong and supporting that back bend by pulling in and up. And then lifting your head, finding good length in the spine. We'll take it through moon salutations. The feet remain grounded. The arms reach out and up. The hands stay apart for shoulder's sake. Palms come together if shoulders agree. You can even find temple or steeple mudra. Your gaze can be forward and down, across, or up to your thumbs. Full forward fold, Uttanasana, fingertips near the toe tips, knees bend a little or a lot, especially for the moon salutations, head and neck release. Inhale lifts the head and heart, and we'll step the right foot back to a runner's lunge. The back knee settles down. Now is a good time to roll over part of your mat to give your knee a cushion, or to spread your blanket underneath the back knee there. So take your time, set that up. Find balance, come up one hand at a time, or both hands lift as you're ready. From half moon, hands make their way down the midline, and we'll take it back to child's pose. So your knees will come wide the first time around, your big toes touch, and your arms will reach out in front of you. Your fingers will claw and your palms will cup. Do rest your forehead somewhere, please. Inhale brings you to table, and let's practice a puppy dog to start off, just to give our wrists and shoulders something different. Your forearms come down, your forehead comes down, your tail is up, your knees are down, and your toes are tucked. Gently lifting the head, gently lifting the elbows. Slow, steady breathing continues, inviting space. On your next inhale, find your way to table and bring your hands in front of your shoulders, please. Bring your hips in front of your knees. Your toes are tucked under, and we're going to release to knees, chest, chin. So your tail stays up just a smidge. And then from knees, chest, chin, you start to lengthen the legs, press your hips down into the mat, and lift into a cobra close by the mat, and we'll find some cobra circles. Inhale lifts you up one side, exhale releases you down the other. Reversing circles. Coming center, pressing down, lifting up, taking it back to child's pose, puppy dog, or down dog. If you have blocks, you might want to have them under your hands for this downward facing dog. And if you're going to down dog, give yourself time to bend one knee and then the other, and to lift one heel and then the other. And to press one heel down and then the other. And then bending both knees, take a turbo dog, lift both heels, point your tail to the ceiling and gaze to those thumbs. See what your arms and hands and fingers are up to. Give elbows a tiny bend, a little squeeze in, return gaze to knees, and lift please your left foot. I need to move up. If you happen to find a wall, go ahead and press into it. Notice where your toes are. Encourage your toes to reach down. Pull that knee underneath you. Step through to your lunge and give yourself the half moon. Again, Ardha Chandrasana. Find balance first. And then work with your flexibility. Hands come down the midline, fingertips to the toe tips or your blocks. You're pushing off the back foot and coming all the way forward, toe heeling now. Your feet as wide as the mat. Hinge at the hips, bend at the knees, hold elbows, almost elbows. Stay quite still or rock yourself side to side. And now your knees can bend and move with you. Unless, of course, you're staying still. Inhale brings you center, fingertips under the shoulders, and we'll heel, toe, toe, heel, the feet completely together, the legs together. Bend the knees so much so your upper body finds your upper legs. Wrap your arms around low legs, hold elbows, almost elbows, and then see on your next inhale if you can lengthen the legs a bit and release the head and neck a bit more. Come up in steps or find your reverse swan dive. Moving up to your mountain, Tadasana. Hands down the midline. Back to where we started. Chandra Namaskar, moon salutations. Feet remain grounded. Open-hearted mountain, Tadasana. Full forward fold, Uttanasana. As you lift head and heart, the left foot steps back. This time you find a runner's lunge and bring the back knee down to find Ardha Chandrasana, your half moon. Hands make their way down the midline, fingertips to the toe tips, and back you go. Child's pose, puppy dog, or down dog. When you're in down dog, see about your heels pressing down toward the mat and your hips pressing back toward the wall, and your tail still finding a little space to lift up toward the ceiling. Bending the knees gently, bringing your body to knees, chest, and chin. The tail remains up a bit, and then as you press into long legs, you press into fronts of hips, you find your cobra. Maybe take a peek over the shoulders and invite second and third toe in line with heel. And heels in line with hips. Bend the elbows a bit, roll the shoulders a bit. Find your gaze. Forward and down, forward and across, or even up to the ceiling. Take it back. Child's pose, puppy dog, down dog as you wish. If you're taking child's pose, see if it's appropriate to give yourself something different, perhaps the knees together to support digestion. Inhale brings you forward to table. As you're ready, puppy dog, down dog. If you'd like, you can find your blocks if it helps to open you up a bit. Heels pressing down, hips pressing back, tail pointing up, fingers spreading wide. Taking the turbo dog, heels lift, knees bend, tail points, gazing forward, elbows bend and pull in a bit. Return the gaze to the knees, lift your right foot. This time, if you find a wall, go ahead and press into it. Toes reaching down, heel pressing back. Top knee pulling underneath you, pushing through the back foot, taking it down to the runner's lunge and then the half moon. Hands make their way down the midline, fingertips to the toe tips, pressing off the back foot, coming forward, toe heeling feet as wide as mat. Again, hinging hips, bending at knees, releasing the head and the neck, and maybe this time your fingertips will trace the symbol for infinity, that sideways looking number 8 as you glide side to side. Inhale brings you center. Heel toe it in a bit, but keep your feet wider than hips width and come down to a goddess squat, or some of us know it as malasana. You may like a roll of blanket or mat under your heels, so take a moment to set that up. If your heels are pressing into the floor, so be it. If not, a little something to press into may help you find some length in the spine. So then your elbows come inside your knees, your palms come together, and you push the elbows against the knees while the palms continue pressing. And from your goddess squat, let's come up to our full moon pose, where you bring your feet a little wider, bend at your knees, bend at your elbows, and you can stay quite still, or maybe you'll rock a bit side to side from one heel to the other. One set of toes lifts, and then the other. And then coming center, finding your 5-pointed star. And bringing hands to hips, and we'll heel, toe it, toe, heel it back to center space. Find a chair pose. Find a full squat, and we'll come down to the mat to work supine on the back. So have your props nearby and release gingerly to your mat. I would bring your blocks on either side just in case they become helpful, and have all your good supplies within reach in case they become helpful. We'll move all the way down to the mat. You can have your feet at the top of the mat with your knees bent. Do promise me that there's nothing for you to bump into behind you. You might lengthen your legs and flex your feet. You can reach your arms up and move slowly but surely. Maybe imagining one vertebra releasing, and then the next, until your head comes all the way down. And now let's measure. We may need to move a bit if you're very close to the wall like me. So you can give yourself a nice big stretch here, reaching through fingertips and toe tips. Press your entire back into the mat. So even that space that tends to lift up between back and mat presses down, please. Now reach more through one side so you feel it become longer than the other side. And then reach more through the other side so you feel it become longer than the first side. And now reach through both sides again. This next part, you're going to exhale and bring your arms alongside you. You can keep your legs long, or you can bend your knees and press through your feet. And then if you bend your knees and press through your feet, you may feel your ability to press your whole back down into the mat makes more sense. Or you can lengthen those legs and do that again. Flex the feet. Even though we're on the back, we're quite active here. So palms are pressing, backs of arms are pressing. You might even scooch those shoulders in a bit, so your shoulders are opening a bit, your upper back there, your heart center is opening. We're going to engage the bandhas. So the Jalandhara bandha is the chin lock. You're going to bring your chin towards your throat, towards your chest, and hold breath a moment, and then inhale, release. Now let's engage the lower locks, the root lock and the navel chakra or navel center lock. So the muscles at your seat behave as if they need a restroom. There's no restroom to be found, not even a tree to hide behind. And these are the muscles that we're pulling in and up. And then just above that, below the navel center and around, you're pulling in and up. And maybe you'll add the chin lock. And then inhale, release. And let's try that twice more. Pulling in and up at the seat, pulling in and up around the navel, chakra, center, and engaging the chin lock. So the Mula Bandha, the Uddiyana Bandha, and the Jalandhara Bandha. And then release. And we'll do that once more. Nice big inhale. Slow, steady exhale. Engaging the locks. And release and breathe. From this place, see about bringing your arms out like the top of letter T. So if you have anything in your way, move it so it's not in your way. Let your palms press down. Please lift your head gently and turn your chin toward the right. And then bring your left leg away from center and let your other leg follow. Do bring your legs and your feet together flexed. Head comes center, legs come center, and we'll switch sides. So you're lifting your head, turning your chin to the other side, and then your legs, whoops, watch out if you have a candle and a plant nearby, reach to the side away from where your chin is facing. Your head comes center, your legs come center, and now we'll give that a hug in. Holding elbows, almost elbows. Bring your nose, your forehead to your knees. Squeeze it all in, squeeze it all out, and then release your head and your feet. Have a block nearby just in case it becomes helpful. Bend at the elbows, please, and walk those arms close to your body. Your feet come closer to your seat. You're pressing into the whole back, into the back of head, into the backs of upper arms and into your feet. And on an inhale, you're lifting your low back and giving your hips a little nudge to what many of us in the modern yoga world have come to know as yoga bridge. However, in my classical teacher's work, this is yoga desk. So you could press your hands down and see if it makes any sense at all to scooch your shoulders in and hold your heels. If that doesn't make any sense, press your palms down or return to those bent arms. See what helps you. From this place, see about your hands starting to hold your hips. Breathe. And if it doesn't make any sense at all, return to your arms bent and your hands simply up facing each other. Press into one foot like you mean it and lift the other foot to the sky. Release that top foot and the other side. Release the top foot and we'll come down now, one vertebra at a time from the top, the cervical spine, through the mid, thoracic, and now cradle your lowest portion of back, hips, and tail, and come down slowly but surely. Bend one knee in toward the body and let the ankle come near your hip. So you're creating a half lotus position with your leg. Bring your arms a bit closer by, and as you press down on an inhale, lift up to another variation of desk pose. Maybe your hands will find their way under your hips. And And then lower down in order of the spine, please. Starting upper, mid, lower. And we'll switch sides. Let your arms rest a moment. Pull the other knee in. Ankle moves near your hip. If your knee does not appreciate ankle moving to half lotus, let your ankle come up a bit on the upper leg so your knee is happier. The bent knee foot that's down might walk a little closer to you, and the hands, let's see, are going to get ready to catch your hips. So backs of upper arms pressing down, and on an inhale, you lift up. And again, you see about those hands finding their way under your hips. Lowering from upper to middle to lower back. Releasing the feet and bringing the legs long. Flexed feet, hands, arms are next to you, pressing through back of head, backs of arms. Let's press that whole back down to the mat again. You might have room to move those arms in a little closer to you. It might be as if you're lifting the middle of your upper back off the mat when you do this. And now you're pressing through your heels. Your toes can start to reach forward. You're pressing through your arms, through your palms, through the back of your head. And on an inhale, you're seeing about lifting into what is actually the classical yoga bridge. Celebrate the centimeters and come on down. Let's give it a couple more tries. If you have some warm, slippery sweater clothing on, you might adjust and see if that helps you a bit. Arms come close to the body so the shoulders can scooch in a bit. Back of head pressing, backs of arms pressing, palms pressing. Heels are flexed, but then you're reaching your toes forward, not if it cramps your feet. Give yourself permission to come out if that's what happens. And then on an inhale, you're lifting up. Exhale, release down. And let's give it one more try. Whew. Arms are close by, palms are down. Start with the feet flex, start with the whole back pressing down, and then as you breathe, you lift up. And release. Let's give that a try with a block and see what happens. Press your whole back into the mat, please. Find your block, bend your knees, and slide the block at that first level under your hips. You can do this next part with your with one leg at a time. I'm going to see what happens if I do two legs at a time. Heels sliding against the floor, feet flexing. Those arms might have space to come a little bit closer, and you can reach through your toes. And then bending one knee at a time or both. Let's see what happens if we switch the block to the middle level. So take a moment to press your hips down into the block. They probably lifted up when you pushed your feet forward. Hips press down and then feet press down, and we'll adjust the block to the middle level so we can experience this bridge pose. Maybe you'll do one leg at a time, maybe you'll do both, maybe your toes start to reach forward. Keep breathing. Back of head is down, but your chin might be moving toward your chest more in that Jalandhara bandha. So be sure you're breathing though. And then you can bend one knee at a time, and take a moment, please, again, to press your hips into the block. And let's see what happens, if it makes any sense at all, to bring your feet closer, lift your hips, and lift that block, oh dear, to that, there it is, highest level. So the block is just under your hips, and then you can reach one foot forward and the other, and see if your toes will reach down. Keep breathing. If this is too much space for the body, bend one knee at a time and come out. And then do bend one knee at a time. Give your hips a moment to press down. Maybe bring your feet a little closer and bring that block down to the lowest level so you can gradually work your way out of the supported bridge pose. Slow, steady breathing. Remember your Ujjayi breath. Finally, moving the block out from underneath. We'll bring the legs long and we'll bring the arms long. So I need to move away from the wall here. And we're bringing the left arm close by your body. And on an inhale, you'll lift just the right side. So we're moving into postures that prepare us for shoulder stand. And then exhale, release, and bring that right arm next to your side, and inhale, lift the other side. And exhale, release. And now let's do opposites. So let's get that left arm reaching overhead, actually, because we want to work with your shoulder a bit more. There we go. And on an inhale, lift the first leg and the second arm. And release. Bring the left arm next to you, please. Reach the right arm up overhead. And on an inhale, lift the second leg and the first arm. And release. Bring the right arm next to you. Take a moment to press that whole back down, and now inhale, reach both arms overhead. Breathe here a moment. And on your next inhale, lift all four limbs, reaching your fingertips and your toe tips up to the ceiling. Now see about your toes starting to reach back for your hands. You could take your peace fingers, your index finger and your middle finger, and hook them around your big toes. And as you do that, you'll start to lift the lowest part of your hips, your seat. I'm going to press the feet into my hands and lift that way. So it's almost as if you're moving into plank pose, but you're not. Your feet are overhead, your hands are overhead, and you're either holding the big toes or you're pushing the feet into your hands. Keep breathing. And then release. And let's bring one leg long and give one knee a good bend. And then bring that knee and ankle in line with your underarm. And bring that center. Bring that leg to a bend or long and give the other knee a hug in. bring the ankle and knee to the underarm as if you're lining that up. And then come center. And from this place, bend both knees, lift both legs, peace fingers again, hook the big toes, and you bring the legs away from each other. Keep breathing. And then bringing the legs back in. Give them a little hug, and we're going to turn to face the wall. So I'll roll to one side and then lift up and have all of those wonderful things that you might like to have around you. We're pushing the feet against the wall, so if the wall feels chilly, add your socks. And we're just about ready to move into rest, but we'll do just a bit more releasing. You might want, blocks on either side of you, and you might want your belt here. So feet press into wall. You can come on down to the mat however you can get there, and you might need to scoot yourself a little closer to the wall once you come down. I'm going to use my belt here. And as you bend the knee, the belt will move around the ball of the foot area, and you'll give the belt to the matching hand. And we'll bring the, oh dear, we'll bring the other hand out to the side, and we'll guide the leg to its matching side. So your foot against the wall continues to press into the wall. This quadricep might pop up a bit. That's typical. You can give it a little push down and then release your arm to the side. And then we'll bring this leg to center, and we'll give the belt to the opposite hand, and the other hand reaches to its side. Now the foot at the wall turns with you. Flex both feet if you can, and if you'd like to have a prop under your leg, you can have some rolled up towel or blanket or your block there. You don't have to have it. And then this leg returns to center, and we'll give it a little hug in. And let's actually climb up the leg for a moment. So you can start to push through your toes and take a little mountain climb up your block and bring your nose toward your shin or your knee. And then release down and give a hug. And we'll switch sides. So if you traveled away from the wall, connect yourself to the wall once again. Bring the other knee toward the upper body. Find the belt near the ball of foot. Pressing up through the heel here. Give the belt to the matching hand. Reach the other arm out to the side and bring the leg to the side. Both feet are flexed. If you want to give this quadricep a little push down, you can. You don't need to force anything. Sometimes pushing the foot into the wall helps. And then bring the leg out to the side center. Give the belt to the other hand. Bring this arm out to the side to give the arm and the hand holding the belt permission to do a little releasing. You also might do a little lifting and lowering of your shoulders to release. The foot at the wall has turned with you.
And I'm noticing my heel has come off the wall, so I'm going to flex my foot rather than just pushing my ball of foot into the wall. And then we'll bring this leg center, and let's do that mountain climb again, pushing up through your toes, bringing your nose closer to your knee, your shin, and then releasing. And since we're here at the wall, let's go ahead and take the legs up the wall. So you might turn to the side again so you can get yourself a little closer to the wall now. Have your layers on hand, especially if the wall is chilly. You can also use a chair and have your legs up a chair instead of the wall. And let's move close enough to the wall so the feet can press in. And if you have it in you, we'll do the start of shoulder stand. If not, if you get here and you just want to rest with your legs up the wall, that's fine too. So feet press into wall, hips lift up, hands hold the hips, hips move toward the wall, your knees are bent, and you breathe here. If you're not breathing, you need to come down and rest. And then eventually your hands might move a little higher up the back, and you'll practice lifting one foot and then the other. Or maybe you'll lift both feet. You might add a plow pose in now if you'd like. You can always start by bending the knees and then lengthening the legs. You might bend the knees and return up to your shoulder stand, and then find your feet to the wall and come down slowly but surely. And now you might be ready to rest. You can always add a rolled up blanket or block under your low back to add a bit of restorative time to the pose. Do give yourself some warmth here. Give yourself permission to rest. Yogic rest is not a sleeping time, however, sometimes that happens, so no worries. It is a resting time to release your fingers and your toes, to rest your ankles and your wrists, your knees and your elbows, your hips and your jawbones. Your tongue rests gently in the roof of mouth. Slow, steady breathing. Giving yourself permission to even let go of the focus on the breathing. Gently beginning to wiggle the fingers and the toes, to round the ankles and the wrists, yourself. Good stretch. And a gentle hug. If you have a prop underneath you, you may need to take a moment to press into walls so you can gently release the prop and find your way to rest on one side. Your top hand pressing down to guide you up to your seat, where you're welcome to use the wall as one last prop if you like, and we'll bring the spine some warmth here. Back of head to wall, backs of upper arms to wall, back of your tail, your lowest back can even press near the wall. Letting your hands rest open, a moment receiving. And we'll close with a meditation to deal with life. So your right hand makes the backwards letter L. You'll make a fist and your thumb will come up. The other hand will come around that fist and both thumbs are up. If this is too much pressure with the wall, you can come away from the wall. Your wrists are lower, just a teeny bit lower than your shoulders. Part 1 is inhaling for 5 seconds. Part 2 is exhaling for 5 seconds. Part 3 is holding the breath to your capacity, working your way up to 15 seconds, not up until you're going to burst. Inhale as you're ready. Exhale as you're ready. Holding breath, working with your capacity. Inhale as you're ready. Exhale as you're ready. Holding breath, working to your capacity. One more time. Next time you inhale and exhale, return hands to heart-centered mudra. And we'll close with the sounds for protection. Om Dum Durgaye Namaha. Join in, listen in, mentally recite as you wish. Om Dum Durgaye Namaha. Om Dum Durgaye Namaha. Om Dum Durgaye Namaha. Bowing to wise one within.
May you and your dear ones be protected, safe, well, healthy. Take good care. Until next time. Satnam Namaste.